Okay, we are on the air, and it is 4 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started with the Community Planning and Transportation Committee meeting for Thursday, March 28th. I want to welcome you all that are here in attendance and anyone watching at home. And as a reminder, all of these meetings are live streamed on the City of Norman YouTube channel, and you can go back and rewatch them at any time as well. We have 2 items on the agenda for today. We have our regular public transit ridership report and just overall report on public transit. And then we'll have a presentation regarding collision hotspots around the city. So our first item, though, public transit ridership, we have Taylor here to go over that with us.
Thank you, Chair and Council. A few things in the memo. I know some of these things have been on there for a while, but we're close to accepting our 5 new paratransit vans. Those are the smaller cargo type van, a Ford Transit model that will be rear loading, which will be a first for us. So we're working through some processes and procedures for that. But we're just working with the vendor on some things to tidy up on those. So we're correcting those issues and excited to get some of those older paratransit units out of the fleet and get those new ones in there. And then on Tuesday, as you all know, we accepted with council approval a grant from ACOG to purchase and install some pantograph chargers for our EV buses, which will be a big project for us, and we're looking forward to getting it started. We appreciate the support on that project, and that'll allow us to leave those buses out all day, which currently we have to take them back to the yard to charge every day, given the capacity on the batteries. And then lastly, for microtransit, we're working through the direction council gave us for the expansion and the extension of that program. I'm sure you can appreciate we're working with 2 entities with VIA and OU and trying to get those amendments drafted and approved by both parties before we take them to you all. So we're working through all that, but we hope to have that to you in the next month. Have the expansion to you in the next month, but the extension will obviously come in July with an approved budget for that program if that's what happens. So,
Okay.
For ridership, just briefly, fiscal year to date ridership for both the fixed route and paratransit service is just over 269,000, which is just below 30% increase. Still very happy with where we're at right now compared to where we are last year. Most of that ridership increase all the ridership increase was on the fixed route with Plus going down a little bit from February of last year compared to this year. Our ridership per service hour on the fixed route system was just under 20, which that just basically means, as we've talked about before, over the span of the service for the weekday on fixed route, we had at any one time 20 people riding, right? The hour before it could have been 40, the hour after it could have been 0, but on average about 20, which is really high it's really healthy for a system like ours, and I think that's on par with a lot of other places. So we're really happy with that. And even on the weekends, on Saturday, it's at 15, which is really good. So
Lindsay East and West both had significant growth. It shows Lindsay East having more. And I saw someone mention that it was more ridership than the other routes combined.
yeah, and you can see there that it's pretty true.
Yeah.
I think that's a testament to us diversifying that route. It was already really heavily ridden given the apartment complexes that were on it. But because we extended it out to the Walmart area in Homeland, we were able to, the people on that route, all those apartment complexes, they can now access the grocery store without transitioning to another bus, right? Mm-hmm. They can go straight to a grocery store, and then vice versa. They can go much more directly to OU rather than riding or downtown, rather than riding the route all the way around. So it's a much more direct service for all those residences. So I think it's a testament to the changes that you all authorized and we made last October, just bolstering it.
It's already running 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm. We kept it at 30 minutes. Nelson Nygaard, and that's what we recommended in the transit plan for the base route network because it was already really heavily ridden.
Okay.
And then to your point about Lindsay West, after Sunday service, which again we're testing out with the microtransit pilot program, the next recommendation is to add a bus to Lindsay West to make it a 30-minute route because they and we anticipated it would be more heavily ridden after the changes. So that's the next thing. If funding becomes available, we would recommend adding a bus to that route to make it 30 minutes.
To West Lindsay Street.
Mhm.
Okay. I noticed the 152% increase in wheelchair riders from February last year to this year.
Yep. And that's, that number could be weather related if we had a lot of cold days last February. I'm trying to remember. People don't like to get out as much, obviously. And then much like the paratransit system, it's kind of demand based, just seeing if people switch or not, if we have more riders that have those mobility devices. But it could be due to the service on the fixed route too.
was
If
gonna
they're
say
able
that,
to access
yeah.
more destinations on the fixed route much more conveniently, then they may be opting to ride the fixed route bus rather than paratransit.
So I interpret that as wheelchairs is riding the bus, because the plus shows that there's a little bit of an increase on plus, but
Right.
fixed route ridership for wheelchairs is where that's up. Councilmember Grant?
I was just curious.
Oh, what's going on?
When you say Lindsay West, like, how far west?
So that route, and we probably need to, there's not enough space there to give the full name, but it's Lindsay West / 36. Is that what we call it, Lamar? Oh, yeah. So it's taking the old name Lindsay West and we expanded it to include 36 because the route was extended to go from downtown on the west side of the university on Lindsay West over to 24th and up to Main, and then 36 up to Robinson and turn around and go back the same way. So I can send you the route maps if that's easier to see. But basically it goes from downtown through campus, Lindsay West, up by Sooner Mall, and then up to the Hollywood Theater, if that helps. So
And there's like no bus stop on the Ed Noble Parkway part of that. Like, it doesn't really go near there.
it doesn't dip down anymore. The closest one would be at Sam's, just west of the mattress firm, just west
Oh,
of
close,
Noble
but
Parkway,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
And then we added one across the street. So the Sam's Club one was the historical one there. And then because it's bi-directional now, we added one in front of Sooner Mall, just past, just west of Ed Noble Parkway. I guess it's not Ed Noble Parkway when you go north of Main, but.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And it looks like ridership too has increased month over month, every month this fiscal year too, so.
Yep, we're very,
And
very
that
excited about
includes
that.
Saturday ridership as well, I see.
Yep, Saturday got a little bit closer in some months from not being eclipsed, especially in February, but yeah, still an increase. And I did want to mention, we appreciate the support for the proclamation for Public Transit Professional Day on March 18th. We had a great time celebrating with staff with a luncheon provided by Embark, and then the city of Norman providing some dessert to not only transit people, but we went around to some of the more support staff like legal and finance and IT, and made sure they were appreciated for what they do to support us. So we were happy to do that.
Absolutely.
And then this will be in your weekly report next week, but we attended Transit Day at the Capitol this past Tuesday, and we're there meeting with legislators and talking about transit funding on a state level and trying to drum up some support for that with our state association. So
Wonderful. And any update about or anything of note about the Norman On Demand? this
Oh, I'm
past
sorry.
month or so?
I was in a leadership Norman class all day, and I think my brain's fried.
I understand.
Absorbing information. Yes, on the microtransit pilot program or Norman On Demand, like I said, we're working on the expansion and the extension. But for the service we're providing right now, we had just over 2,600 passengers in February. That's for a total service to date, starting in August, of about 16,000. We're still we're hoping that with the expansion of the service, which we'll be adding a vehicle with that expansion if it's approved by council with the cost, that'll help out with some of the wait times and some of the walking distances that we're seeing, but still they're not terrible. But we're hopeful that those will go down a little bit and see the unavailability. So overall, I think it's still going through as well as we thought it would, right? So
There's currently 5 vehicles that are out there.
currently 5 vehicles, and the
Typically.
contractor kind of treats the 5th one more as if it breaks down, involved in an accident. If one of them breaks down, needs service, or is involved in an accident, we can quickly access that 5th one to be able to provide service. So we don't necessarily want all 5 of them on the street, and then we had rides booked for all 5 of them, and then one breaks down, and we're kind of in a pinch. But it is available. So this would bring it to 6, where we'd use 5 most of the time, or when we needed them during peak time, and have that 6th available if needed for any issues that arose, or if it was really busy, we could throw it out there. But yeah, and I think we're looking at adding a wave vehicle with that, because that would give us 3 waves and three wheelchair accessible vehicles and 3 non. So that way we could expand that capacity for those trips too.
Okay. Anything of note about the transit center repaving or anything like that going on that we?
We're working closely with our streets division on some areas that are just crumbling apart faster than we thought they would.
Right.
As we've talked about, we knew we'd have to replace the asphalt at some point. We're just doing some deep patching where we need to, just to get by. Hopefully in the next year or 2, we'll be able to replace it with some concrete that'll be longer lasting. But we're trying to minimize the impacts to operations as much as possible, and I haven't heard any complaints from passengers. And then we were working around the Porter mill and overlay, and thankfully that only lasted a couple of days for us, but now I think we're past that, so we're looking pretty good now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Things